What is going on, everybody? How are we all doing? And welcome today to episode number 1 of a very cool new series being run by Gamejam HD called Front Runners. So it's a really cool idea, lads. It's basically like a football podcast where we'll be talking about all the weekend's football in the Premier League combined with a league table element very similar to that you see in Top Gear with a start in a reasonably priced car. What's going to happen is we'll go through every single game. Me, Kebby and Glenn, links to both will be in the description down below, of course. We'll be making our score predictions, talking about what we think of that particular game. For any score that we guess correctly, we will get £10 added onto our score, and then when we've been through all the games, we'll then be doing our own £50 bet. It can be an accumulator, it can be 2 or 3 bets adding up to £50, and whatever comes off in that also gets added onto your score. So eventually, when there's been a few episodes done, you'll end up with a load of YouTubers in this league table where hopefully it'll be really cool because we'll be able to see who's made the most money, who's not made the most money. But obviously, I'll stress it again, I won't actually be placing the bet in reality. Now hopefully this is my first appearance on the series, but in a few episodes time I'll be back around again to do another few predictions and another bet. So make sure you subscribe to Gamejam. Like I said, the series is primarily going to be on his channel, it's his series, so make sure you subscribe there, and to KB as well. Like I said, both links are down in the description down below. But that just straight wraps up my introduction because this is a very long video anyway. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a fantastic night. Nidge out.
Okay, so my two guests for today, it's a pleasure for them to be here. First of all, we have Nidge. How you doing, Nidge?
Hello, everybody.
And also we have KB from KB Plays FIFA. How you doing, KB?
How you doing, Glenn? Nice to be on the show.
Good, good. So all of the links for the lads can be found in the description below, so make sure you go and check them out. Make sure you go and drop them some love, go and subscribe, follow them on Twitter, etc, etc. So this weekend is going to be absolutely mammoth. There's some really, really cool games coming up this weekend, and there's no better place to start than with the absolute mammoth game of Chelsea versus Liverpool. Now, John Terry, only today, at the time of recording this, left the Chelsea medical facility on crutches, and he's going to be out for quite a while. Sadio Mane is on absolute fire at the moment. These two teams are doing absolutely brilliantly, both really kind of pushing up there and form-wise scoring a lot of goals. So, Nidge, let's go to you. What do you think about this game? How do you think it's all going to pan out?
I think it's a game. I can see there being a lot of goals in it, which normally when you think that there's bound to be a 0-0 now, but I just think both teams are a lot better going forward than they are going back, particularly without John Terry, although you would imagine David Luiz will be quite a decent replacement. But I just think Chelsea are going to try and dominate possession, as they do, and then Liverpool are going to play on the break, which kind of suits both teams' strengths, really. So I have actually gone for a 2-2. Like I said, I think there's going to be goals. Liverpool just look so good going forward at the minute, and I just think I can't see them not scoring, but it could go either way. It's a very difficult game to call, that was.
What do you think, KB?
I also think it's going to be an absolute goal fest, but I am always on the fence when it comes to these sort of things. But I do have one belief, and it is that Diego Costa is going to score. The guy's been on absolute fire, as much as I hate him. Probably Liverpool are going to play a very possession-based game, and I think that's going to open them up the back.
Okay, and what score have you gone for in that game?
I am going to go for a 2-1 to Chelsea, as much as I hate him.
Yeah.
Ooh. See, I feel the same with regards to the fact that it's going to be an absolute goal fest.
We've also this is going to be 0-0. Bound to happen.
Yeah. Costa's been absolutely banging him in. Liverpool were absolutely unbelievable. I don't know why Mane didn't perform when he was at Southampton. I'm not saying he didn't perform, but not to the extent that he is now. I mean, he looks like a 60, 70 million pound striker. It's all about consistency, though. Yeah, and with Sturridge as well, obviously, kind of in and out of the team, injuries, that kind of thing. I think if he can stay fit, if Mane can stay fit and can, continue what really Liverpool have been lacking since Suarez has left, which is a proven goal scorer, then I think they'll do well this season. So I've gone the same as you, Nidge. I've actually gone 2-2. For. Yeah, I've gone 2-2. Now, interestingly, when we place our bets at the end of this episode, and they obviously get tallied up and put into the league table, these predictions that we're making for each individual game, every single one of those that we get right will add an extra £10 onto our overall profit come the end of the series in the league table. So it's really important that you kind of, we try and get as many right as we can. Yep. So next game, Nidge, you're a Man City fan. Talk to me about Man City Bournemouth. How do you think it's going under Pep? What do you think you're missing without Aguero, etc.?
I think we've started the season incredibly well. We've not dropped a single point in any single competition yet. I cannot believe how well it's going, particularly after the first game which I went to, and this strange system that we play at times where the sort of wing backs push into the middle. It seemed like surely this can't work, is how it seemed like in the first game, but it seems to be working. I mean, we won the derby last weekend, obviously played absolutely phenomenally for the first half. We have got Champions League on Tuesday, which is always something you have to bear in mind when you've got a game the weekend, but I don't want to disrespect Bournemouth, but if we're not beating Bournemouth at home, then we don't deserve to be at the top end of the table. I think we will beat them. I've gone for a 3-1. I think Iheanacho will score. Aguero's obviously out, still suspended after he dropped the elbow on Winston Reid. Iheanacho won't be playing in the Champions League, so I think Aguero will probably be playing there. But yeah, 3-1. I never trust us to keep a clean sheet. That's the one thing I will say. So yeah,
he looks a bit dodgy, doesn't he? Bravo in the.
I think he'll be okay. I do think he'll be okay. I think it's just first game nerves. But even with Bravo, I just think we always look susceptible to concede on the break at some point.
Jack Wilshere might tear you apart. You never know.
Super Jackie Wilshere.
Stranger things have happened. I'll tell you.
What have you gone for, KB? What's your
Honestly,
prediction?
I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. As much as I rate like their new signings like Jordan Ibe, and they've managed to get Jackie Wilshere in on loan because obviously Kbfifa is his best mate. Really good, but I think they're flat to deceive. Basically, if they're going to get one, they're going to get one through Callum Wilson, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I've said it's probably going to be 4-0, and I really do think
clean
it's going to be
sheet.
absolute battering.
I'm a little bit torn with this. I agree there's going to be a lot of goals in this game, without question. But this whole season, Kevin De Bruyne has been, he looks
What a man.
Yeah, he looks like one of the top 5 players in the world. He's been stunning. He's brilliant with the ball. He makes great runs off the ball. He has made Man City tick. And there is talk. At the time of recording this, there hasn't been anything released as to how long he's going to be out for, but they reckon it's a hamstring, which actually kept him out for a little while last season. And I think the key to the momentum that Man City have, being top of the league, like you say, they haven't dropped a single point, is Kevin De Bruyne. And so the question is, are they going to miss him? I think they've got quality enough in the ranks to kind of beat a team like Bournemouth. No disrespect to Bournemouth fans, obviously, but the amount of money they've got in the team is outrageous. And so I've gone for 3-0. So we're all pretty close with our predictions.
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting.
The other thing that worries me that I'll briefly touch upon is Bournemouth have got a lot of pace at the top end, and I just think on the counter, I think that's where we could potentially suffer. But I hope we keep a clean sheet. We don't seem to keep many these days, so it would be nice.
Well, who was it they were playing last weekend? Was it Hull or
Bournemouth? They beat Baggies 1-0, I think. West Brom, I believe.
Scoring one against the Baggies, you got to have a little bit of belief in your defense.
True.
Okay, so next game is going to be West Brom versus West Ham. There's been a bit of trouble with West Ham fans. I actually think they've handed out a few lifetime bans. However, Payet looks like he's never been away. He's unbelievable. That Rabona that he did to assist the goal was outrageous. So, KB, let's go to you. What do you think about the game? Do you think West Ham can push and try and get higher than they did last season?
Jesus Christ, the way that they've started this season is absolutely insane. Antonio has absolutely been like a man possessed. He was great for Nottingham Forest. He's been even better for West Ham this first half of the season. He got the most headed goals, I think, in Europe last season. I think huge amount. But Payet's been really sort of targeting him, and he's been able to make some goals himself out of nothing. They've easily got 2 goals in them. It's whether West Brom are actually able to sort of attack that West Ham flaky defence that we saw against Watford. So I think it's probably going to be a 2-2 draw.
It's not going to be short of goals, is it, this weekend?
It's always the way. When you're making predictions, it's always the way.
See, it's interesting you say they've started well, because you look at them, the way that they played. Lanzini looked like bloody Zinedine Zidane. He was unbelievable. They have a lot of players that are kind of on form, but they're only 17th. They're 4th bottom in the league. It's not as if they're, even though they're playing sexy football on the pitch and they're lighting up the new stadium, etc., it's like they're struggling to convert that into results. I still think they're going to win this game. My prediction for this is 2-1. I think West Brom don't have the power. I think that the situation with Berahino has just gone on far too long. I think he just needs to leave. But Rondon, when he's on his day, he's one of the best. He's an absolute beast. So I've gone 2-1 West Ham away from home. It's going to be tough against any Pulis side, but 2-1, that's my prediction. What about you, Nidge?
Also, straight off the bat, I also went for 2-1 to West Ham. West Brom are a team that I just never fancy. I just think they're such a boring team. They never seem to attack much. I just whenever I'm doing a bet or look at them before a game, they're just never a team I fancy ever. West Ham have been indifferent to say the least, but I just think Antonio on fire, very underrated last season. Don't know how he didn't get in the England team in the end, to be honest, for the tournament. But with him and Payet, they've got goals, like KB said. They've easily got a couple of goals in them. I think they'll win 2-1 as well. And one thing I will say, Berahino is so overrated in my opinion. I think there was a stat the other day that he scored 1 goal in like over 20 games. I don't even think he deserves to get to a bigger club than West Brom at the minute, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, 2-1 to West Ham. That's what I've gone for, same as you.
Going to be a close one. So next up, Watford versus Man United. Watford, obviously, with a team that came back against West Ham, where they got 4 goals from. It's Capu is just like a man possessed. I saw a stat the other day saying that he scored in like 3
out of 4 games. I think he scored.
Yeah,
it's something ridiculous.
Prior to that, he hadn't scored in 57 games.
Yeah,
it was nearly 2 seasons he hadn't scored for. After watching Man United versus Man City, Man United look incredible in the middle of the park. I mean, don't get me wrong, City tore them apart, but I think when you're going to be playing the kind of lesser teams, I think Pogba's ability to run a game is really going to come through. However, obviously Zlatan Ibrahimovic, how Rashford isn't getting the start is absolutely beyond me. Rooney looks a little bit, I'm not going to say past it, but you can tell he's not in the right place mentally, in my opinion. And I felt like towards the end of the City game, even though United were pressing them really hard and did have a lot of chances, I feel like Manchester United just lack that attacking threat that, when previous managers were in charge, like your Alex Ferguson, you had York and Cole up front, or Van Nistelrooy, you always looked like they could get a goal. And I feel like Man United are missing that. But I think the overall quality that Man United have is going to take them through to a victory. They are 3rd in the league, so they're doing pretty well. I've gone for 2-1 this game. I think Watford will get one, but I think United's class will come through. So what do you think, Nidge?
I've also gone 2-1 Man United. We are very similar on these predictions.
We've gone exactly the same, pretty much.
First half against us last weekend, they were abysmal. Second half, it was a very even game. A lot of United fans after that game seem very down, very complaining. Obviously, you're going to be because you've just lost the derby, but I think when you look realistically at the couple of games before that, they've played really, really well. I think it's one of those games, I think it'll be 2-1, but it'll be more comfortable than a 2-1 looks. I always fancy Ibra to get on the score sheet, especially the start of the season he's had, but I do think they'll come away with a 2-1 win.
Okay, what do you think, KB?
Oh, see, you guys have said that it might be difficult for them to have an attacking threat. I think it's difficult for them to have an attacking threat outside of Zlatan, because Zlatan equals goals. He has scored, I think, in every game this season. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
He's really sort of upped his attacking output. The problem that they had at Man City was that they had 2 passengers in the midfield, and one of them cost 90 million. Yeah. I think this game is basically going
controversial.
This game is going to be a Pogba stat booster, and he's going to go up against Etienne Capoue, who is the actual sort of almost value buy at the moment in terms of how much he costs and how much he's actually putting output, even though he came in God knows how long ago. Anyway, I think it's going to be a 3-2 game. I think Rashford's going to score 1. I think that Zlatan's only going to score 1. And I reckon they're going to make a big deal out of either Mkhitaryan or but Igalo's coming back.
See, I think with Bravo, obviously he made a mistake and
we gifted them that goal. If that goal hadn't have gone in and it had gone to half time 2-0, it wouldn't have been the same comeback sort of momentum second half. But
I agree. But even then, even when they're pushing second half, they know they need a goal. They've got the crowd behind them. It's one of the most intimidating stadiums I've ever been to personally.
Yeah.
But I still didn't feel... Zlatan looked laboured. He looked slow. And, that's the thing with Zlatan. If you put it in the box and he's there, he's such a big lad, he's going to get on the end of it. His technique is unquestionably brilliant. He's one of the best players in the world for that. However, when you're playing a game with the wide men that United have, there needs to be movement, and he doesn't look like he has that movement. So... I don't know. If it is 3-2, I can't wait to see the highlights of that game because it'll be really interesting. So, next up, Tottenham Sunderland. What do you think, KB, to that game?
I hate to say it, but Sunderland aren't going to win this. It's simply that what you need to say. They're 19th at the minute. They're playing Everton as we speak. They've got 1 point. They've got a goal difference of -2. They're not going anywhere. They've got David Moyes, who is... He was overrated at Everton, and now he's sort of slid down in terms of how he treats people tactically. I don't think they're going to get any goals out of the game, and I think it's going to be 2-0 to Tottenham. with at least one Harry Kane goal. I hate
that. What do you think, Nidge?
Again, I feel like I'm copying, but I've also gone 2-0 Spurs. I say 2-0. I think it'll be a comfortable win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Defoe scored, because we all know players love scoring against the previous clubs. Defoe, great striker. Wouldn't be surprised if he scored, but either way, short and sweet, it's going to be a comfortable game for Tottenham, I think 2-0.
See, I get this real interesting feeling with Harry Kane. I love him. I really do love him. You know, I'm not a Tottenham fan, so you know it's very much as unbiased as you can get. But I just love the fact that an English player has the potential to be a fantastically great player. That goal he scored against Germany, that drag back, was just outrageous. That Cruyff turn that he did. And he did this last season. I mean, he ended up getting Golden Boot in the end, but he went, do you remember at the start of the season, he went a couple of months without scoring a goal. And it was he's done it again this time. It's taken him a few games to kind of find his stride, but that Son looks absolutely brilliant. And I think with Lamella kind of firing, Eriksen's just signed a new contract. I think Tottenham can finish there or thereabouts. I think they've had a bit of a slower, I'm not saying a slow, but a slower start to the season compared to the big lads. But I've also gone for 2-0 in this game. So that's a clean sweep. We all think it's going to be 2-0 at White Hart Lane.
Oh, go on, sorry. I think it's just more down to Sunderland being poor rather than Tottenham being amazing for that one, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree. They need to find the feet, because Sam Allardyce ain't going to come and save them this season.
No.
Next up, Hull versus Arsenal. Talk to me, KB. What do you think?
Okay. I think that for all of the fact that Arsenal did not want to attack, seemingly, for 90 minutes, the fact that we actually conceded was incredibly unlucky. I mean, we gave away a stupid free kick. It bounced off Czech's back. That's not exactly the goal that screams we're really sloppy at the back, but we did have a couple of scares. That being said, Mustafi was slowly feeling his way into the game, sort of increased as time went on. Perez, I'm not too sure on. He could score a couple of goals, but I think they were just resting Giroud, so I think he'll be back in the attack. I think we're better away than we are at home at the minute, and I think we're going to have a clean sheet. I think it's going to be 2-0 Arsenal.
See, I don't know about this. I've been really controversial, and I've gone 2-1 Hull. Ooh. And the reason why I do that is because at the end of last season, when everyone's calling for Wenger's head, basically, a lot of fans didn't want him there anymore. I think if you ask any kind of football fan who follows football regularly, a lot of people are kind of saying, you know, he's almost like had his time. You know, he's had enough time to put a squad together. I mean, he's there back when Bergkamp and Henry. You know, you can't get much better than that. And even though they did the invincible season, they just don't seem to have enough. And I think come this transfer window, Wenger should have stepped up and spent the money. I'm not just
100% agree
to the choir. Yeah, Benzema. There was talk of Benzema. I mean, look at the amount of money United have spent. Look at the money that City have spent. You know, Chelsea have spent quite well as well. But they're willing to spend significant money, and I don't know if it's because of the situation with regards to the stadium or the fact that the board, Kroenke just doesn't want to get his wallet out, or he sees football players as a liability. I don't know, but there wasn't enough for me there to convince me that Arsenal could challenge this season. I think, as always, they'll finish. You know, might finish 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. I think they might, if they do well, they'll get Champions League, but I just can't see them winning it. And I think that mentality has come into the start of the season. You know, don't get me wrong, they're doing all right. They're sixth place at the moment. But I think that mentality of, you know, shutting the gates, and it's kind of proved to me that Arsenal don't have the ambition at the moment to kind of push forward and really, you know, really show. And I think that if I was the Hull manager, you know, I would say to the lads, look, these were a bit shaky. It was only a last-minute Cazorla penalty last week that, you know, that got them the points on the day, and it's not as if they're playing outrageous opposition. And I think all it will take, Snodgrass is really important.
Snodgrass is so underrated.
With regards to my prediction, I think if Snodgrass, if he gets a free kick, I mean, he's proven already this season that set pieces he is a master at. And so I think if Hull defend correctly, if they can neutralise that midfield, if they can keep Ozil quiet, I think Hull could sneak it 2-1.
I'll briefly touch upon what you were just saying at the start there. If I was an Arsenal fan, KB, I would be so frustrated because every year you seem to be linked with the likes of which I know you are frustrated, obviously, but like Lacazette, people like that. And I just think you've gone for Lacazette, or you link with Lacazette, who is arguably up there, very good striker, world-class striker. And you end up with Perez, who I'm sure is a good striker, but he's not a Premier League winning striker. I just think, like Giroud, he's good, but he's not a Premier League winning striker. And I just think that's the situation you end up every year. It's on good players, but not Premier League winning players is the best way I can describe it. But I also think it's going to be a very close game, and I've gone for 1-1. I also think it could be a Snodgrass set piece, whether it's I don't know if he takes penalties, but like a penalty or a free kick. But Arsenal, to me, sometimes remind me of Liverpool, how they sometimes seem to make hard work out of what could be like a routine game. I mean, no away game's a routine game, but yeah, I've gone 1-1 there. Great.
Okay, next up, this is an interesting one. Leicester versus Burnley. Leicester haven't started very well, as 16th in the league. They're really struggling. Mahrez hasn't been firing. Vardy, the last goal Vardy scored was the most obvious, easy goal I've ever seen in my life. Where the ball got
Lucas?
Yeah, that's right, Lucas. Yeah, and it was the easiest tapping ever. But I don't feel like they have the same spirit as they had last season. And obviously, it's the task that they achieved is just, we'll never see the likes of it again. But I think a lot of people, especially Leicester fans, expected them to come out firing, expected them to come out strong and fast, and it just feels like they've had a bit of a damp squib. I honestly, before the season started, said I think they'll struggle. Like, I really think they might even go down this year because, Conte was the key, he was the engine, he was everything to that team. And you take that out, it's proven in the past. I mean, it happened with Blackpool when you took Charlie Adam away. Everything collapses around you. Yep. And I think it's going to be difficult this season. I've gone for 1-1 in this game. I think Burnley are doing okay. But I see this as a bit of a relegation scrap. I know we're only a few weeks into the season, but 1-1 is my prediction. So KB, what do you think?
See, I agree with you. They've got a sort of almost a Blackburn Rovers style complex where they win one season and then they just do not improve as time goes on. Leicester do not look like the same team they were last season whatsoever. And you're right, it probably is Kante in the middle of that midfield. I expect if it keeps on like this, you're going to have people like Mahrez, you're going to have people like Vardy wondering if they should have moved during the summer, and that's going to affect their outlook on how they play as well, because they're going to be trying to put themselves in the shop window, not trying to push for titles. So, Burnley, amazingly, they have the same form. I mean, they've both only won one game and drawn one game. So, yeah, you're right. It's a bit of a relegation scrap. They're higher in the league than people seem to think at the minute. They're sort of aspiring for mid-table. Burnley did, however, do very well against a team that plays a similar style of football to Leicester, and that's Liverpool. They scored, I think they were 2-0 win against them. So I actually do think it's going to be a 1-0 Burnley win.
Ooh.
Controversial.
I have gone, again, I'll say the results straight off the bat. I think it'll be a bit more comfortable for Leicester than you two reckon. I think they'll win 2-0. If there's ever a game that they're going to bounce back on, because they've not had a great start, I don't think anyone expected them to do what they did last season, obviously. I think everyone, like you said, Glenn, expected them to struggle. I don't think anyone thought they'd struggle quite as much as they have, but they have also had, correct me if I'm wrong, quite a difficult start to the season in terms of teams they've played. I can't really remember now, but I don't know when this game 2-0. I think Burnley... I think Burnley are probably going to get relegated. I think Leicester will probably be in that sort of 10th to 14th position where they're not doing anything, but I don't think they'll really be in relegation battle either. But I think 2-0, probably Vardy to score, to be honest. But yeah, like you were saying as well, both of you, Kante is just such a huge, huge miss for them this season. It's massive.
Can I ask you a question? If you manage Leicester City, based on how Mahrez has been with penalties, I think he's missed 3 out of 4.
Get him off him. If I was a manager, I'd have a policy, unless... I don't know, if I was a manager, like I said, I'd have a policy where if someone misses, someone else gets to go, and then you just keep on going until that person... That would honestly be my policy, but at the same time, I don't know why Vardy wouldn't be on them anyway, because you always want your striker to get the goals, don't you? So I don't know, like I said, I'd rotate it every time someone missed, personally.
He's very similar to a Shearer, the Vardy, in the way that you just put your head down and just blast it.
Yeah.
But it's the way to take him.
Yeah, definitely.
So, 3 more games left. We've got Everton versus Middlesbrough. Nidge, what do you think?
Everton are playing as we speak against Sunderland. Don't know what the score is right now, but again, I'll try and keep it brief. Borough have had a fantastic start in the whole, but I think Everton, even I don't know why I said that so strangely, will win this game. I think it'll be close. I've gone for 1-0. Probably Lukaku to score if Everton do well. He's the man that seems to have to be firing on all cylinders. Neither team, well, like I said, Borough started well. Everton, not amazing, but I think they will have enough to win this game. 1-0.
1-0. KB?
Again, Everton seem to flatter to deceive. It seems to be that they've had all the money in the world. They've bought some players that seem to be from mid-level clubs in terms of Premier League quality, at least. Balassi, not the greatest idea they could have had.
Yeah, very inconsistent play.
They also wanted Perez, so that shows the sort of level that they're after, which isn't top level. They're looking for sort of middle of the range, almost like Europa League sort of players. But at the same time, Middlesbrough have had a pretty damn good start to the season, considering. I mean,
they're currently 9th.
Yep.
They're 9th.
Yep.
They're top half.
Negredo and who is the other guy up top with him? He's absolutely brilliant.
God, Middlesbrough, who is it? I can't remember. It's gone.
So what score are you going for, KB?
I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
I think Everton fans will be less happy with that result than Middlesbrough fans, definitely.
Oh, yes.
I've gone for 2-1 Everton. I think if Lukaku's fit, obviously he's a massive part of their game. I think they have quality throughout the side. However, the biggest contributing factor as to why I think Everton will win is because I think Koeman he's one of the best. I really do. I think the way that he lays his team out, the way that he can change formations during a game. I mean, I watched a pre-season friendly. They were playing abroad, and they must have had about 5 or 6 formations in the same game. They started off with 4-4-2, and then they went 3-5-2, 3-4-3, and then they had advanced fullbacks. And I just feel like his quality and his reading of the game, and I think he's very tactically astute with his substitutes, etc. Even though, I agree with you, KB, they do flatter to deceive, and I think it's going to be a tough season for them. I see them top half of the table, but lower top half. I'm saying 8th, 9th, 10th. I think Koeman's quality will neutralise what Middlesbrough have. You mentioned the name earlier. If you can keep Negredo quiet, you can keep Middlesbrough quiet, I think. 2-1 for me. So next game is Crystal Palace versus Stoke. This is turning into what I would perceive as another relegation battle. Stoke are bottom of the league. It's interesting, because you look at their side and you look at the ridiculous quality that they have. Shaqiri, Arnautovic, they've got some arguably world-class players, and I like the fact that they've spent the money. They've almost punching above their weight in terms of the players that they have, considering only a few seasons ago they were in the Championship. I think a lot of money's come into the club through the Bet365 affiliation, etc. Crystal Palace, 11th in the league. I think Benteke is a big player for them. He scored actually last weekend, and all they basically did was they just launched a ball into the box, and he just rose the highest out of everyone. And I think that's how Palace need to play. I think this game is going to be 1-0 to Stoke. I think it's going to be I was close to putting a ball draw, to be honest. I don't think it's going to light up the world. I don't think it's going to be sexy in any way. It's going to be a hard fought rainy night in Stoke. It's going to be 1-0 Stoke.
Oh.
KB, what do you think?
Oh, good God. Please save me from having to watch this, man. It is going to be one of the most boring things I've ever watched. Stoke under Mark Hughes should be exciting and fun to watch, and watching them play against Tottenham was an absolute eye scraper. I would have rather torn my eyes out than watch them play. At the same time, Zaha, very good player. If he can get crosses in, then Benteke's always got a chance to score, and Zaha's got a chance to score himself. I would favour a Crystal Palace win over a Stoke win. So I'm going to go 1-0 Crystal Palace.
Nidge?
I will say again, I've gone for 1-1. But I agree with everything you both just said, really. Stoke, to me, depends if Shaqiri and Arnautovic fancy it on the day. They're both fantastic players, but sometimes I just think it's like they can't be arsed, in all honesty. And when they can be arsed, they're a force to be reckoned with. When they can't, then they're the two players that the team revolves around, them and Boyan. Benteke, I think, is a fantastic signing for Palace. I've also that as well. I think he's the kind of signing that will keep them up like he did when he was at Villa, because I just think he's got goals in him when the team's built around him, like it was at Villa. It wasn't at Liverpool, and I think they're doing it at Palace. So I do think he's a great signing. I think he'll score again. I've gone for 1-1.
So we all agree there's not going to be many
dull
goals in that game.
We can all agree with that. Dull game.
God.
Yeah.
Okay, so the final game of the fixture list, they've gone from the sublime to the, to be honest, quite boring in my opinion. It's Southampton versus Swansea. Nidge, what have you gone with?
I've gone for a Southampton win, 1-0. I think Swansea, we talk about teams that are going to struggle this season. I think Swansea are a team that are really, really going to struggle. I think outside of Gylfi Sigurdsson, I don't know where the goals are going to come from. Gomez was lighting it up last season. Doesn't seem to be doing it this year. The sign is Lorente. I don't think he's scored yet. Doesn't look fantastic. He's quite old as well. Southampton, on the other hand, they've lost a couple of players, but they always seem to just come through it, don't they, and just still grind out results sometimes. And they're at home. I think they'll win 1-0 again. I think it'd be a very boring game, but I think they'll have... It's one of those games, it wouldn't surprise me if it was 1-0 from a penalty. Something like that. Could easily be a 0-0 as well, but I've gone 1-0.
KB?
Again, an absolutely horrible, boring game. I mean, Southampton playing against Arsenal was just dogged. It wasn't the sort of stuff we'd expected from Koeman over the last couple of years. It was just boring. It was horrible to watch. And Swansea have been on a steady decline for years.
Yeah.
I really did expect them to sort of be more in a relegation battle last year and almost go down. I think it was a lot of work that managed to get them out of it. And that normally after putting that through that sort of exertion, they just don't have it the season after. So I'm going to say 2-0 Southampton, but it's going to be one hell of a dull game.
I have to absolutely 100% agree with you. Southampton, you know, they've spent a bit of money, they've brought a few players in. I just can't see it though. I think Swansea come out of the gates prepared to defend. I think that's their biggest, you know, I rate Fabianski quite highly. I totally agree with you, Nidge. I just can't see how they're going to score any goals.
They almost remind me of when I was talking about West Brom earlier, and you just think they just don't look like they ever want to attack at the minute, do they? And unless it's a set piece or a penalty, I just don't know where it's going to come from.
So I've gone for 1-1 in this game. I don't know. I think Southampton have got enough quality to put one in. I totally agree with you, Nidge, that Swansea's goal is going to come from some either massive mistake by Southampton or it's going to be a set piece. Yeah, exactly. So I've gone for 1-1. So... Okay, so KB to go first. We all have a balance of £50 in our betting accounts. KB, what bet are you going to go for?
Okay, so I've gone with 3 bets. I'm going to spread it all across. I have put £20 down that there is going to be at least 2 goals in West Brom versus West Ham. That's a 2-5 bet with Paddy Power. I've put 20 quid down on that. I've also put 20 quid on the fact that Man United are going to win. That's an odds of 8-15. And I've put 11-10. £10 on Arsenal to get a clean sheet. That's all £50, and the potential returns are £79.67.
Massive. Nidji, what have you gone for?
I've kept it a lot more simple. I've gone for one £50 bet, but it is quite a big one. I say it's a big one. To me, it seems reasonable. I have gone for literally Leicester to win, Southampton to win, and then the one that could cost me here, Man City to win, but with Iheanacho to score at any time. That with £50 on it brings you about £465, which to me sounds really good, because you know when you do a betting, you can just see it doesn't look that unfeasible, does it? For £465, that doesn't seem too bad, so that's what I've gone for, yeah.
Goodness me, you'll be top of the leaderboard in no time. I've gone for straight up 50 quid bet. It's a treble. I've gone City to beat Bournemouth, which I think is a pretty safe bet with City being at home. Tottenham to beat Sunderland, which I think is also a pretty safe bet. And I've also gone for both teams to score in the Chelsea versus Liverpool game. So that's £50 on 2.63 are the odds, 2.63 to 1, which brings me back £131.50p.
Oh, so okay. I could win if either of one of your 3 fixtures fucks up.
Yeah,
I mean the odds on us any of us winning anything is very minimal. We must stress this.
Yeah. Don't bet if you can't afford it, and you probably will lose listening to us reprobates talk about football.
Yeah. It's very true.
All right, lads. So that is the end of week 1 of Front Runners. Obviously, you're going to have to come back next week and see exactly what happened with regards to our results. But thank you so much, KB. Thank you so much, Nidge. Go and check their links in the description. Go subscribe to them. Go and show them some love. Follow them on Twitter, etc. Thanks so much for joining. If you did like this video, please give that like button a good old crack from me. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you out.
Yo, he's Nidge, plays with big games, and player reviews are getting insane. He entertains while he elevates, his video quality resonates. On career mode, he got lots of vids uploading off and he's rocking it. He's got the confidence in all his commentaries. Videos range, they often vary. Got need for speed and a road to glory. Just watching vids and you know the story. The content is underrated, I'm understating, so don't ignore the like and subscribe button to support the channel that keeps running. It takes 1 second, like it's free, it costs nothing. Peace.